The subcutaneous. Hey, that doesn't look good. Anyway, 5 stitches. It's fine. Annie's worth it. It was my stupidity. All right. That's the big drama update of the day. We'll see you tomorrow night.
You have Jeanine Pirro, the former host of Fox, who's now the top federal prosecutor somehow in Washington, D.C., making selfie videos of herself that she sends to Fox, whining about the price of water or something's making her upset. Here, play this clip.
Hi, everyone. It's Judge Jeanine. I'm at the water cooler in the United States Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. And you may recall that the United States gave something like $44 billion a year through USAID for things like dance classes in Wuhan, China, and Sesame Street in Iraq. But here in the United States Attorney's Office, where we prosecute crime on behalf of the victims, on behalf of the people who are targeted by criminals, the U.S. attorneys, as well as the staff, in order to get water, they have to join a water club. And they have to pay. It's a dues-paying membership. And today they ask for our patience. Why? Because we couldn't get water delivered today. Today, there was no water delivered to the United States Attorney's Office. And remember, it's only for those who pay $7 a month. Now, ain't it grand to be a part of the government? And I'm just thrilled to be here.
And bam, they need their next distraction. So cue in, speaking of dog bites, dog killer, Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary. She rushes to Fox, the cosplayer dog killer herself, and she's like, we're going after Harvard because 27% of the students at Harvard are foreign students. And because Harvard's not letting the Trump regime take over Harvard, we're going to make sure that if you're a foreign student, you get deported, maybe to a concentration camp in El Salvador. Maybe we're going to send you to South Sudan, maybe to Libya, maybe back to your country. Who knows? But Harvard, if you're a foreign student at Harvard, goodbye. You're illegal now. Here, play this clip.
As you mentioned, 18% of Harvard's freshman class this year are foreign. They're foreigners here on student visas. What happens? Where do they go now? What do they do?
Yeah, we have given Harvard multiple opportunities to give us the documentation that we've requested to conduct oversight. We've asked them for the backgrounds on students that attend their university, their criminal activity on campus, off of campus, any video or audio footage they have of this violent activity, and they have just simply not complied. This is something that they need to do in order to comply with this program as it was established. And so, unfortunately, all of their foreign students will face the consequences of Harvard's lack of protecting the individuals that go there. So 27% of their students are foreign students, and they will have to find some other university to go to. And hopefully they find one that cares about them and provides a safe environment.
Distraction, distraction, distraction. We're Fox. Don't let our viewers actually know that we've taken away their Medicaid and their Medicare and their SNAP, their food stamps, their rental assistance. Don't let them know. We need a distraction. Here she is further threatening foreign students and foreign universities. She goes, you other universities, you best get your act together or else we're coming after you next. Play this clip.
Could you foresee, or are you now considering similar moves with other universities like Columbia that has allowed Jewish students to be threatened and made unsafe?
Absolutely. We are absolutely. This should be a warning to every other university to get your act together. Get your act together, because we are coming to make sure that these programs, that you are facilitating an environment where students can learn, where they're safe, and that they're not discriminated against based on their race or their religion. Anti-Semitism will not be stood for, and any participation with a country or an entity or a terrorist group that hates America and perpetuates this kind of violence, we will stop it, and we will not allow that to happen, especially in places where our kids need to grow up and really learn what this country is about, what the world is about, and what it means to promote freedom and liberty.
I mean, do you get more authoritarian than that? The Homeland Security Secretary saying because Harvard is not allowing the Trump regime to control its admissions process and audit the political views of its students, that if you are a foreign student now at America's top research university, you will be deemed illegal because the university wants to shut down America's top university. So now the brain drain that America used to benefit from foreign countries, America is just going after all of its universities because Donald Trump and idiots like Kristi Noem are destroying every aspect of the United States of America. But more distraction, more Fox, more distraction. Here's what Kristi Noem says when she's asked, do you believe that the Qataris are behind a lot of the anti-Semitism that you worry about? Watch Kristi Noem's response.
Do you believe, Madam Secretary, that the Qataris in particular are behind a lot of the anti-Semitism you just described? Are they providing fuel that creates this fire?
You know, I'm not an expert in this area. I think that there's validity to what he has said, but I also think that we've got a lot of influences here, and we've got a lot of people that have facilitated this that have a different agenda. Some of these universities have even barred law enforcement officers from coming on campus and haven't even allowed there to be basic law and order on the areas that they're responsible for. So we're going to continue to do our investigations and make sure that what the Department of Homeland Security is responsible for, it will be done with integrity for the way that Congress laid out that programs should work, and the opportunities that we have to allow people to come into this country, learn, and to be a part of a country that promotes freedom and liberty and that everybody is equal.
I mean, look, at least that was a somewhat decent question right there. So then they got to bring on, more distractions. Cue Tim Scott, MAGA Republican Congress member Tim Scott. We haven't heard from him in a while. He wants to talk about crypto legislation and saying that Americans who are living in poverty right now are going to be the ones benefiting from the crypto legislation that the MAGA Republicans are working on. Play this clip.
President Trump simply said on the campaign trail, America will be the crypto capital of the world. This may be a major part of his legacy when we make it easier for the struggling Americans working paycheck to paycheck to have more access at a lower price point. Stablecoins in the Genius Act is a first step, historic step towards making America more affordable for everyday Americans. It's another great reason this is a good day in America.
And it also feels like the banks are finally, caving on this. They didn't really want the competition, did they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody hates competition when you have a monopoly. And the one thing we'll say about the banks is they came to the table. We worked constructively. There are some parts of the bill that eliminates the possibility of yield and interest. That was a key component of getting the banks to be neutral on the bill. But this bill must go forward because it's good news for the American people, especially ones living in poverty.
More distractions, more distraction alert. Bring on James Comer. That's how I'm James Comer. And what's he talking about? Biden. What else? They need distractions, despite the fact that Donald Trump is as addled and cognitive mush as can be. But I don't want to let Donald Trump get off the hook for that. They're talking about Biden, who ran a stable government where America was number one in the world in every single category, from GDP growth to energy independence, 40,000 infrastructure projects, record low unemployment, record job growth. 2 new countries added to NATO. But okay, spend your time talking about Biden, you morons. Here, play this clip right here.
We'll go to court. Jesse, they're going to try to plead executive privilege, and they're lawyering up, and we're ready. That's why we're making sure every I's dotted and every T's crossed. The best thing that's happened in the last week with respect to this is all the new books that are coming out and all the former Biden staffers who are trying to cover their tracks. You're going to see people like Pete Buttigieg who think they have political futures come forward and say, we didn't know anything. There were gatekeepers. They wouldn't let us speak with Joe Biden. And the more that comes out, the easier it's going to be to get to the truth.
All right. Then they bring on Kevin Hassett. They got to bring on their propaganda crew, Trump's national economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, who he's like, this bill's basically going to pay for itself. This is the greatest bill ever. Here, play this clip.
So some Republicans in the House last night said that the Freedom Caucus holdouts were reckless. What do you say?
I think that in the legislative process, one of the things you do is you see that people pose that they're going to vote against in order to get something that they like right up to the last minute. But I always believe the Freedom Caucus people would understand that they didn't want to support the biggest tax hike in history. the biggest tax hike in history if they opposed this bill. And they came around. And I think that in the end, they want more spending cuts. And President Trump wants lots of spending cuts in this bill. And he wants DOGE and OMB to put downward pressure on government spending for the rest of his term.